Oh no. Lads, the economy's going down to dunny. If you've been watching any of the news in Australia recently, you cannot avoid all of the stories about financial Armageddon coming round the corner, all the stories about potential recession. Here, I'm going to make it worse by rounding up the main 7 reasons why we're almost certain you're going to get a recession in Australia in 2020. So in no particular order, number 1 on our list is wage growth. Now, wage growth is the indication of a healthy, growing economy, because if people get paid more, they can spend more, that creates more jobs, which means people get paid more. It's a bit of a cycle. Wage growth in Australia has slowed down recently. The last quarter was reported to be only 0.6%, with the last 12 months adding up to 2.3%, which is below forecasts, and worse, it's been going down for the last 10 years. So that's definitely the first one to watch. So number 2 is new car sales in Australia. Now, new car sales tend to be a really good early barometer of a potential recession around the corner, because in a family budget, when the belts get tightened, usually a new car is the first thing to be struck off the list of potential purchases. And new car sales in Australia have been declining for 1.5 years straight now. So that's definitely a concern. Before the global financial crisis in the US, we saw a big dip in car sales. We've seen that here, so watch this space. The third indicator on our list is the volume of housing on the Australian housing market. If you look at the prices properties are being sold for, they're starting to go up slightly, especially in Sydney and Melbourne. If you look at clearance rates, that's the percentage of properties that are selling of the ones that are put up for auction every week. They're also looking all right. But if you delve below the surface and look at the actual number of properties up for sale, they're going down. The last Saturday's auction clearance rates I looked at, there was only 320 properties on the market. If you look at the same day the year before, that was 380, and the same day the year before that, it was near to 500 properties. So we've seen the volume go down, and that's an indication that people are still wary of selling. A lot of people who want to sell don't think they're going to get the price that they desire, so they're holding back. Eventually they will have to sell. We really need to see the volume and the price of houses go up in order to show that the housing market is properly starting to recover. So if you're in the market or thinking about getting into the market, keep an eye on those numbers in the months to come. Number 4 on our list is that more homeowners are defaulting on their home loans. A default means that you borrow for a home loan. If you can't pay it back within 30 days, that gets marked as a default with your bank. We've seen the percentage of homeowners in Australia who are defaulting go up slightly. It's not big overall, it's about 1.5%, so it's not too much of a worry, but it's definitely going in the wrong direction. Number 5 is that retail spending in Australia is spectacularly low. In fact, reports have come out saying it's as low as it's been since 1991. Both NAB and Westpac economists have come out and referenced recessionary levels of spending. That's definitely not good. 6 is that Aussies are looking to book shorter and shorter holidays. If we look at the average number of days people are trying to search for quotes for travel insurance on Finder's travel insurance engine, where they can search from a couple of days up to 1 year, we've seen the average of that go down from 40 days in 2015 to only 27 days now. That's a concern. Number 7 is that we have seen an inverted yield curve in both Canada and the US. Now, the yield curve basically shows the returns on investments for government bonds. When the economy is not healthy, people who want to invest often invest more money in government bonds, which are safe, than they do in the stock market and riskier options. And when you invest money with the government, the longer you leave it invested, the higher the returns, the higher the yield. So when the yield curve is inverted, it means that the returns on short-term investments are higher than the returns on long-term investments. In other words, investors don't have faith in the long-term health of those investments. Now, the reason this is important is because if you track the yield curve over time, every time it's become inverted, we've had a recession, and that's just happened now. So there's 7 reasons why we're definitely facing financial doom. There's more reasons on top of this in a longer Insights blog piece, which you can see via the link in the description. So what do you need to do? Well, basically you need to be careful with your savings, be cautious with your investments, if you're going to make any investments, and keep an eye on these numbers in the weeks to come. There is the other side of this argument. There's a lot of economists saying we're okay, we're probably not going to face a recession. We'll look at those arguments in a video next week, but in the meantime, you can keep an eye on all financial news at finder.com.au. finder.com.au.